Accurate timekeeping has been a quintessential part of every professional's array of armamentarium, from the white-collar high-stakes broker of Wall Street down to the humble dishwasher keeping track of their shift. Though the advent of the smartphone and activity-tracking smartwatches largely reduced the need for one to wear a simple watch, the echoes of watches made for professionals still linger to this day. Aviation is one of those professions that depended highly on strict, accurate timekeeping, even to this day. Thanks to atomic timekeeping, a method which uses the magnetic fields of the Earth, punctuality has been the forefront of every airliner today, unless you fly Air Canada. Punctuality is not included. But to the well-natured aviation and watch enthusiast, the first watch that comes to mind might be the Breitling Navitimer, with its busy slide rule bezel and multi-dial chronograph layout. Though it was an important watch, today's topic of discussion will be the lesser known but militarily significant Hamilton Khaki Aviation Pilot Pioneer Mechanical. Yo, my name's Vincent, but you can call me Vince. Today we're going to be talking about a very quirky and underrated watch in Hamilton's lineup of many watches. This one more so leans on their more military-esque field watch line, so it was used more for pilots, which we will get into later. And by later, I mean now. In the 1970s, the United Kingdom was in a real debacle. The economy was faring poorly, industry was underinvested, unions put forward destructive strike actions, productivity was at an all-time low with inflation at an all-time high. The Yom Kippur War, which was supported by the Western powers, would soon lead to the 1973 oil embargo that skyrocketed the cost of fuel. This series of events meant that the nation suffered as a whole. The British military would soon end their contract with Smith's Watch Company for providing them with watches for their infantry, which would seal their fate as a failing company at the advent of the quartz crisis. As such, production for watches moved to two companies, Cabot Watch Company and Hamilton, both of which produced the W10. Historically, this watch was issued to Royal Air Force pilots who required a device for timekeeping whilst in the cockpit of an aircraft. With its no-nonsense black dial with striking white Arabic numerals, tritium hour markers, and railroad track minute markers, it meant perfect specification for military use. As per regulations, it required T to be printed on the dial to signify that the markers used tritium, a radioactive isotope of hydrogen that constantly glows. The W10 had a triangle marker to indicate where the 12 o'clock was, along with the British Army broad arrow to denote property of the crown. Typically supplied on a NATO strap, you can see them being used by British fighter pilots of the day, but also on some Army foot soldiers. This next one comes from the Troubles or the Northern Ireland conflict. Again, barrel, tonneau-shaped watch on the wrist of this British soldier. Needless to say, this timepiece has seen conflict and is a proven asset for both the skies and for boots on the ground. In the vintage reissue of this, Hamilton has done away with the simple W10 denomination and instead has opted to call it the Khaki Field Aviation Pilot Pioneer Mechanical. A rather large mouthful, which makes it sound like a slurry of words you'd throw into a product listing to optimize it so it'd show up on Google. But anyway, it shed some of its sterile, no-nonsense ruggedness for some sharp, gleaming accents. The case remains brushed, but it seems that there's an extra level that frames the dial that doesn't seem to be on the original. Speaking of the dial, it does not have the tritium T symbol, as it doesn't require it, nor does it have the British broad arrow. Instead, anything in the 6 o'clock is now occupied with a curt sans serif mechanical to remind you that this is a manual wound watch. The dial is not a flat matte color like on the original, but rather appears to have a fresh, sparkling asphalt-like appearance that adds visual interest to an otherwise basic black dial. The sword hands are beautifully polished, which within it contains faux patina luminescent material, which is just your standard glow-in-the-dark lume, which is rather mediocre at times. Right here, the watch measures a curt 36mm wide, 38mm including the crown, with an impeccable 10mm thickness thanks to its hand-wound movement that does not need a rotor. In between, we have an 18mm lug width, while an overall length itself measures 42mm lug tip to lug tip. With it, the watch comes with a standard gray 18mm NATO with nice brushed polishing on the hardware. However, the leather tongue tip and leather pinholes make this strap awfully finicky to wear if you have small wrists, as there isn't much of a place for you to fold back the extra strap. The watch is powered by the Hamilton H50 movement beating at a respectable 3 Hz per second or 21,600 beats per hour to help reach its impressive 80-hour power reserve. It is a hand-wound movement, meaning you'll need to commence a wake-up ritual every morning you wear this watch, as it isn't a set-it-and-forget-it type of automatic offering that other watches may have. Now, this watch does have quite a number of comparable offerings, which you can even find within Hamilton's own catalog. To begin, we can talk about the Hamilton Classic Khaki Field Series, both automatic and quartz. However, the lugs are rather long on the 38mm at 47mm, which can overhang some people's wrists, mine in particular. But there's another option which is in quartz and measures at a classic 33mm, which may be off-putting to those seeking a larger, more modern size. However, if you specifically like the tonneau design, then I would recommend the CWC W10, which is a 1-to-1 reissue of the historic design down to the British broad arrow and the tritium markings, despite the watch not using any tritium. It comes in quartz and mechanical, along with color options for your second hand. However, if you're not so certain about the tonneau shape, but you really like the British style of field watch dial, you could take a look at Koei Kyoto's Old Smith series, in particular the 90002 model. It is, however, powered by a Seiko NH35 or NH38, depending on the date window option you choose, which may be a little underwhelming for a watch at this price point. It is made up for with its excellent finishing and sapphire crystal. Another more luxurious contender might be the Longines Majetek. I don't know how you say that, but it's really similar in looks, and it has a pretty similar historical pedigree with the SEC Air Force, and may fit the taste of those who desire a bulkier watch at 40mm, but at almost 5,000 Canadian dollars, it might be a little bit of a steep price to ask for. With the gray NATO look, it pairs pretty well with any kind of casual wear that may suit your fancy, where the dress code is not so uptight. If you want to give your watch an extra sense of ruggedness, swap the nylon for some leather, either in your typical 2-piece watch band or as a NATO. Brown leathers tend to accent the cream-colored lume and seemingly old design. You could put it on a black strap, but I find that either, black NATOs, black leather, I feel like it makes the watch kind of blend in, like the dial just blends in with the overall strap too much. So personally, I think this watch looks better on something that's brown. If you prefer black straps, then by all means, go ahead. When it comes to styling, pairing this with any kind of military, vintage military jackets or clothing works pretty well. If you choose to wear it on the NATO, it's actually a pretty decent winter wear option, because you can actually strap this right over top the sleeve of your bomber jacket, which I do sometimes, and I get plenty of compliments for it. A green canvas strap, or any kind of canvas to be honest, would work really well with this watch as well if you are considering wearing this with something more grounded like a field jacket or even just earthy tones in general. Leather strap options accents the commanding look a greatcoat may provide, so if you do tend to wear bigger coats, whether it's during the fall or during the winter, then I wholeheartedly recommend you put this on a leather strap, because yes, it can be dressed up that way as a result. It doesn't look too out of place. But its military roots should not prevent you from wearing it with anything other than things you can find at the military surplus shop. Consider it a fun, playful, classic, everyday watch in which you would see it with an Ivy League or academia type of aesthetic or style. Its timeless and clean dial allows you to go for more classic pairings with this one, as it wouldn't look too out of place at any place of higher education or even at the office. Even with streetwear, pairing it with parachute pants and a hoodie can add an extra flair to an otherwise casual outfit. Though, at times it may appear to be too grandpa-like with its Arabic numerals, so just be aware that for more upbeat varieties like tech wear, it may seem a little out of place. Last but not least, owing to its no-nonsense professional use, it pairs very well with workwear, whether from the days of yesteryear at the pinnacle of American industry, or today where Carhartt Detroit jacket wearers are more likely to be matcha-drinking city crawlers than actual blue-collar workers. While a serious mouthful to say, this watch is a seriously nice piece of military history that you can wear on your wrist while still being very, very versatile for you to wear in just about any kind of situation. With its 100 meters of water resistance, it's a pretty formidable watch, but at a pretty sharp price for a hand-wound movement and a mineral crystal, I would suggest you wait for this thing to go on sale before you decide to pull the trigger, because that would make it a little bit more worth it. Or you can also check out secondhand marketplaces like Chrono24 or eBay. Just be sure to do your research and remember, always buy the seller. The tonneau case shape might not be for everyone, but its brushed case finish means that it's meant to go anywhere and do anything. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you decide whether you want to buy this watch or not. Make sure you hit that like button and give me a little subscribe if you like what I am doing. I will be making more of these little informative reviews in the near future with a very nice bit of fashion showed towards the middle to help you choose whether this watch fits into your style. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.